Yesterday we had two pshatim in the Mishnah that said that if a para stoist, a pregnant para stoist shar, and after the dust settled, we realized that there was a vlad there. The Mishnah says you pay chatzi nezek or revi nezek, and the Gemara struggled to understand what it was. So first, the Gemara said the svara. Let's see who said that svara. Who said the first svara? I think it was of Papa. First, it was of Papa who said. No, it wasn't of Papa. First, the Gemara said a svara of it was speaking where the para and the vlad belong to two different people. So the para pays its half of the chati nezek, which is revi nezek, and the vlad the bald mammon amutul b'savik achloiku. It's only a sovik if the vlad is a shutuf. It pays chati nezek of revi nezek, which is only 1/8. Rava didn't like that pshat because it doesn't say eighth of a nezek and a quarter of a nezek. It says half a nezek and a revi nezek. So therefore, Rava says that it's either one or the other. Meaning, if the para is there, or if the para and the vlad is there, then you get the full chati nezek. But if only the vlad is there and the para is not there anymore, or v'balt it's time and you're only collecting gufay, and it's not vadai that this vlad is party to the claim, therefore you only get revi nezek from the vlad. And this is consistent with what Rava said. Rava para shazika goiva mivloda. If a para damaged and it's pregnant at the time, you could even be goiva from the vlad. My time of gufahi, the vlad is considered like echad me'evarim, echad me'evarel of the mother. As Rashi says, echad me'evarel. It's literally part of the para, and it's equally liable for damages that the para did. But if it's a completed egg, but if it's not a completed egg, we do consider it part of the chicken. My time of pirsha ba'almahi, which Rashi says, davar hamufresh mimena. An egg is not considered part of the chicken. Therefore, if the chicken is mechuya for the damages, the egg isn't. So this gives us the pshitas to a very, very famous shaila that we've had all over Shas. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Clearly, the chicken came first, because the chicken is liable, but the egg is not. But Amar Rava, and Rava said, "Ein shaman lepara b'fnei atzma ulavlad b'fnei atzma." When we want to assess the damages, a ox killed a para and a vlad. You don't look at what you could sell the para for independently and the vlad for independently. Ella shaman levad al gav para. What we do is we shots up how much is a pregnant para worth versus a non-pregnant para. The difference in cost would be much less than if you actually paid the full value of the para and the full value of the vlad. Shemiata omer kain. If you don't say that, nimtza ata makrish esa mazik. It's going to be costing the mazik a lot of money. The Gemara is going to ask, well, if that's what the mazik owes, let him pay a lot of money. Why is that a problem? That's what he's supposed to be paying. If one cuts off the hand of the eved of his friend, we don't say, what would you charge, Mr. Owner, to allow the hand of your perfectly good functioning eved to be cut off? That would be a fortune of money. However, if a person is going to the shuk and there's two avodim, one with a hand, one without a hand, the difference in cost would be much less than if I had to get permission from my friend to allow me to cut off the hand of his eved. So therefore, you pay the lower money. What if your animal eats up a full row of produce? If you went to A&P, or maybe I'm outdated, if you went to Metro, if you met the Metro or the Sobeys and bought that amount of produce off the shelf, it would cost a lot of money. But if I just see what a field costs on the marketplace that has all of its rows full versus a field that has one row missing, the difference in cost would be much less, and that's how the damages are set. If the din is, in fact, that he does have to pay for the produce as it is, or the vlad as it is, or the yad ha'eved as it is, likhash masik, so then that's what he has to pay. That's the damages, if that's how you assess it. Why is that called doing wrong to the masik? And for the Gemara, Mishum the Amr Lei, because the Mazik will say, what did I do? All I did was I took your para that was expecting, para mabarta ziktach, and I made it into a non-pregnant para. So all I have to do is restore what you had before I was in the picture. And therefore, para mabarta shamin aloch. I'm going to shout me up what that is worth, and that's what I'll pay. How do you read it? Is mavarta, mavrasa, mavarta? Okay, perfect. And the same goes with all the other examples of Nizokin that the Gemara discusses. So that's why it's just, it's proper that is how you assess the damage that the mazik did. Zok Gemara Pshita, it's pashit. If par dechad uvlad dechad. What if the para belonged to one person and the vlad belonged to another? Pitma, an animal, Rashi says, when it's pregnant, it looks fat, it looks healthy. Who gets that part of the payment, right? The mazik is paying everything, but who's going to get that extra boost that the animal looked better because it was pregnant? Zok to Gemara lebal para. That the bal para gets. As Rashi says, Mashashama noises shayofa b'pnei shumna have the bal para. The vlad machmasei lo asi shum. Because this puffiness that the animal has, it looks full, that's not due to the pregnancy. So it's not like what I said, that pregnant pars are more, it's adirab, it's any par could have. But nafcha, which is something that blows up the animal due to the pregnancy, Rav Papa says that also is exclusively paid to the Balpara. It's split because it's the Vlad that impacts that nafcha, and therefore the owner of the Vlad is entitled to part of that payment. The Hilchas Acholkin and the Lacha is that the person who owns the Vlad gets a chelik in that benefit that the mother has as well. Zok the Heilige Gemara, the Mishnah Vayter. Hakador shehichnis kideiroisov l'chotcha balabayis. Someone had a whole bunch of ceramic pots or earthenware pots, and he brought them in to someone's property without permission. Shaloi b'rishos. Vishavra behemtei shabalabayis. And now the behema of the balabayis that's roaming around his own chotzer broke these alien kalim that are in the chotzer. Potter, the balabayis, is potter from paying for them. Vimhusko behen. What if the para tripped over? What if the animal of the balabais tripped over these kalim and got hurt? Bal hakder is chayiv. Of course, the owner of the pots will be chayiv to pay for the damages done to the balabais. He was trespassing. But v'mhechnis birshus. But what if he had permission to be there? And we're going to soon see that permission might not only include the right to put it there, but at your own risk. It might even mean that when a balabais gives you rishos, he's taking responsibility for it. And there's going to be a discussion about what level of responsibility the owner of the chater takes. Thank you so much, Moti. Oh, I came late today, so it's geschmack. Nice and hot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvarei. Olam hazeh geschmack. Okay, hiknas b'shus balachotzer chayiv. The balachotzer will be chayiv. So here you see that it's not bring your kederis at your own risk, because now if the balachotzer's animal damages those kederis that the balachotzer allowed in, the balachotzer will actually be liable for damages done by his animal. Hichnas peiroisov l'chatzar balavai shaloi b'rishus. So I would guess that it would be safe to say that if hichnas b'rishus balachotzer chayiv, if you brought in your payers, your kederis, and your kederis were broken by his behema, it's chayiv. What do you think the halacha would be if the animal got damaged by my kederis? What would you say? If you notice, when the Shaloi B'Shus, the Mishnah directly addresses both cases. If the kederis got broken by the animals, or if the animals were damaged by the kederis. But on the Hichnas B'Shus, the Tana only talks about if the kederis got damaged. It doesn't talk about if the animals got damaged. So what would logic dictate would be the halacha if animals got damaged? Anybody? I would think potter, right? That would be logical. If you're even chayiv for my kederos, surely I'm not chayiv if I damage your oxen. But that's going to be a question right at the beginning of the Gemara. What if we're no longer talking about pots? We're talking about peaches. So you brought your pears into the chatzar balabai shaloi b'shus, v'achlosan behemtoi shal balabais, and the animals of the balabais ate the pears. Potter once again because it was shaloi b'shus. Imhusko behen balapeiros, but I'm sorry, imhusko behen comma if the animal got damaged by the peiros, and we're going to see how they got damaged. Then balapeiros chayiv. Then the balapeiros will be chayiv. However, the mitnus b'shus. Once again, when the Mishnah talks about hiknish b'shutz, it only talks about if the pears got eaten. It does not talk about what would happen if the animals got damaged by the pears. And once again, the logic would dictate, at first glance, that it would be potter, of course. That he would be potter, of course. But we're going to see. What if you brought your animal in to the chatzar of a balabai shaloi b'shus? Now we'll turn over onto Mem Zayin number days. V'nogach shoyroi shel balabayis, and your shor intruded, trespassed into Yenim's chatzar, and not only that, had insult injury, your shor actually attacked the shor of the balabayis. I'm sorry.
It's the other way around.
The other way around. But the shar said, "What are you doing here? Get out!" And the balabais shar stoiced your shar. Your shar was a victim. Or your animal was bitten by the dog of the balabais. Potter the balabais is potter. Nogachu shar balabais. But if you damage the balabais shar, then chayav. Here it doesn't talk about hichnas b'shus at all. The Mishnah just told us the case of shaloi b'shus. And now we have a third case. Nofal leboiroi. What if your animal fell into the bar that was in the balabais' private property, the hivish meimov, and the clear, fresh drinking water that was in the bar now became undrinkable? Chayiv, the owner of the trespassing behemoth, would be chayiv because of the damage that he did to drinking water. Drinking water is one of the most expensive commodities. A bottle of water is even more expensive. A liter of water that you buy in the store is even more expensive than a liter of gas. So you see how expensive water is, even nowadays.
True.
True. Not true?
One liter bottle of no frills is about 99 cents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, guys, the last time we checked, it's $1.40.
So that's right. That if you buy a liter at a time. What if you buy a small bottle?
Well, no, those work.
If you buy them in smaller quantities, that's right. Okay.
$6 a bottle.
So, or in an airport.
That's why the dream of having cars run on water and it didn't go anywhere.
Okay, gewaltig. Nofal boyroi behivish memo. I think also the image of taxing water would be too difficult for a government to get away with.
You haven't seen your property. You haven't seen your water bill then lately.
Yeah, there's no more busha anymore. Nafal abayroi behivish memo chayv. Aviv oy benoi l'soichai. What if the father or the son, in other words, a human who was in that bar that your intruding ox fell into and now killed, mishalem as a koifer, it would pay koifer. So the Gemara is going to ask us, Rashi speaks out, since when does a short tam pay koifer? And we're assuming that we're speaking here about a short tam. But if the animal went into the property, then balachotzer chayiv. Then the balachotzer is chayiv if the animal got damaged. Rebbe argues on the entire Mishnah, and Rebbe says b'chulon einay chayiv achi yikabel olav lishmar. Just because I let you bring your ox into my property, or your pot into my property, or your pears into my property, that doesn't mean that I told you that I'm going to take responsibility for it. So if my animal eats your pears, or if my animal stoices your animal, or if my animal breaks your pots, too bad. Unless I told you, bring your stuff into my property and I will keep an eye on it. If you didn't speak that out, then stam, when a Baal gives reshus for someone to enter his property, it means at your own risk. Rabbi Omer, how different the halachas of the Torah are from secular halacha. Secular halacha, if someone breaks into your property and gets injured, you're still liable. Here, the shaila is in the Mishnah. Even if you gave permission for him to enter, are you going to be liable? According to Rebbe, you will not, unless you explicitly accepted Shmira, and according to the Tanakhama, you're not. Or you are. Okay, so let's go back to the earlier case of the Mishnah. Time of the Shaloi Brishos. The whole reason why the the Bal Hakteros, the owner of the pot, is muchayev to pay for damage sustained by the animal of the owner of the chotzer, is because he brought those pots in without permission. Habrishos, if you're medayik from the Mishnah itself, it would be mashma that if the owner of the pots had permission to bring those pots into the property, loy mechayev bal kteris b'niskay behemtoy. The bal kteris would not be mechayev with niskay behemtoy, the bal chotzer. V'loy amrinon, and you don't say that if you give me permission to bring my pots into your property, you don't say that I am going to have the courtesy of kibule kabel bal kteris nitirusa de behemtoy, the bal chotzer. You don't say that when I bring my pots into your chotzer, even though I'm doing it for shus, that I'm automatically accepting upon myself the responsibility to make sure that your animals don't get hurt with my pots. There's no assumption of Kabbalah Sachrayas. So Gemara Mani Rebbe. This is similar to what Rebbe said at the end of the Mishnah. Now, let's see what connection there is between Rebbe and what we're talking about. Now, the Chachamim say that if I bring in my kederos into your property, if I bring it in Bershus, and then your ox damages my pots, the Mishnah says, according to the Chachamim, that the owner of the property is chayiv, right? Why is he chayiv? Because he holds by default, a person takes responsibility. If I give reshus, I take responsibility for anything that my reshus will do to you. So therefore, once I gave you permission to bring your pots in, I'm taking responsibility for my stuff, that they shouldn't damage your stuff. Well, that should also follow through that the Balak Deira automatically takes responsibility for his stuff, that it won't damage the other guy's stuff. So according to the Rabbanon, it should work both ways. If you're the Balak Deira, you might think it's different.
It's going to work the opposite way also. Balak Deira gets permission to put it in. You're going to tell the Balak Deira that he's responsible. His
Pots damage animal. Right, that's exactly what the Gemara is arguing. The Gemara is arguing that it's mistaber to say that if the Balak Chotzer is responsible, if his animal damaged the Kteros, so the Balak Deira should be responsible to take care of it if his Kteros damaged the Balak Chotzer. But the Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah says that the Balak Deiros will not be chai for Niska Behemtoy. And that is the Shita of Rebbe. So let's see Rashi inside. Mani Rebbe, the Amar B'Seifa, Rebbe said in the Seifa, B'chul in chayiv, until there's an explicit acceptance of responsibility. The Kasol Kadaitach, at this point, the Gemara thinks, the Rabbanon, Ki heiche the Baal Chotzer b'Shus Mechayiv b'Niskei Kedeiros, the same way that the Baal Chotzer, if he gave permission for the Baal Kteros to bring his pots in, he's now responsible for damages caused to the pots by his animal. Why is that? Because by letting somebody in, it's assumed the Bistama, Kibul Aleini Terusa, he accepted upon himself responsibility to keep those Kedeiros that are in his Chotzer safe. Hachanami, so too, Mechayiv Baal Kteros b'Niskei Balabayis. For that same svara of a person taking responsibility for his things, the Baal Kedeiros should be responsible if his Kedeiros damages the Balabayis. The Bistama Ki Yoyiv La Balabayis Rishusa Lameil, because Mistama, if the Balabayis gave this owner of Kedeiros Rishus to come into his property, Kabul Alei Kadin Terusa, the Lailisku Kedeiros of the Balachotzer. It's assumed, yeah, come into my property, but be careful not to allow your property or your Kedeiros to damage my property. It should be reciprocal. So if you see from our Mishnah that that's not the case, that the Balak Deris comes in with no assumption of responsibility, that is consistent with Rebbe. The Amar Kol B'Stamah Lo Kabel Aleinu Terusa. So Ema Seifa, let's look at the next case of the Mishnah. Im Hechnis Bershus, the Mishnah says, when the Mishnah actually addresses Hechnis Bershus, Bal Chotzer Chayiv. The Bal Chotzer is Chayiv to pay for damages done to the pot. That's also in the Rabbanon. That's consistent with the Rabbanon. The Amri B'Staminami Kibule Kabul Aleinu Terusa. So that's stira number one. Can you say it again? Of course. Of course. Yeah, of course. Visu, and more than that, Rabbi said at the end, so you have a Mishnah going back and forth. Reisha v'Seifa Rebbe. The first case where we were medayik like Rebbe is like Rebbe. The Seifa is actually Rebbe talking. And the middle case is Rabbanon, because the middle case said that Bershus, the Balachotzer, will be chayiv for damages done to the Kedeiros. Reb Zera, we do have a problem here, and therefore Tavra Misha Shanazu Lo Shanazu. In fact, we actually have a machloikis about what the Rabbanon hold. The first Tana holds the Rabbanon agree to Rebbe, and the second Tana holds the Mishnah does not agree to the Rabbanon do not agree to Rebbe. So the first case of Shaloi Bershus, there we were medayik like Rebbe, and according to that Tana who quoted the first case of Shaloi Bershus is holding that the Rabbanon agree with Rebbe. But the Tana who said Vim Niklas Bershus and told us the halacha, he argues on the first Tana, and he says the Rabbanon do not hold like Rebbe, and the Rabbanon hold that when you let someone come into your property, you're liable for damages that your property does to the guest, and the guest is going to be liable for any damages that his property does to the host. Rav Amar Kula Rabbanon. Rava says it's all really going according to the Rabbanon, and Rava says the Svara that Mati said. There's a difference between the Balachotzer accepting a chrayis for anything. I'm sorry?
Trying to figure out what's the difference.
So now you have Rava, so you don't have to anymore. Ubershus, Shmiras, Ubershus, if you came in Bershus, Shmiras, Kederis, Kibel, La Balchotzer, Bafil Nishbru Baruach. If I say you may come into my chotzer, it means I'm going to provide you all of the protections of my chotzer. Forget if my animal damages you. Even if a wind comes and breaks your kalim, I'm also going to take responsibility. When I tell you you can use my self-storage facility, it means I'm providing you protection. I'm giving you a level of protection. Therefore, not only am I chayiv if my animal damages your kedeiros, I'm even chayiv if my animal didn't damage your kedeiros and they got damaged some other way. Because there's an assumption that when someone lets you come into his rishus, you could park in my driveway, you could put your things in my self-storage, it's understood that I'm going to protect. So therefore, there's an assumption of an acceptance of protection one way, but not the other way. If I tell you you can keep your chinik in my garage, there's an assumption that I'm going to make sure that the money doesn't go missing from. Zok to Gemara weiter. Hechnis peirosav l'chatzar balabayis. So the case of the peiros is that if the animal got damaged by the peiros, then the owner of the peiros has to pay the balachotzer for damages to his animal. So the question is, how was it that the animal got damaged by the peiros? The way the animal got damaged is the animal stepped on the peiros, slipped, he had a banana there, and he stood on the banana peel, the animal slipped, and the animal got damaged. That's the damage where the owner of the peiros would be liable to pay for. Aval ochla. What if the animal ate the peiros and the animal got sick from eating the peiros? Potter, there the Baal HaPeiros would be potter. My timer, because I didn't ask you to eat. I'm sorry? Originally. Yeah, I also did. That's why the Gemara speaks out. The animal shouldn't have, who asked the animal to eat? The animal shouldn't have eaten. That's what my wife tells me. Whenever I have an upset stomach from eating too much. Amar Rab Sheishes.
She complains, why don't you eat some?
Amar Rab Sheishes. Amina, I think, Kinayim v'shachav Rav Amar Lo Shemaitza. I don't think this is a good halach. I think Rav was sleeping when he said this halacha. The Tanya we learned, if one puts poison in front of his animal's behema and the animal eats it and dies, Pater b'dinei Adam v'chayev b'dinei Shemayim. He's Pater b'dinei Adam, but he's chayev b'dinei Shemayim for the damages caused to the animal. So we can be medaik from this brisa. Sam hamovas who the lo yavidi da'achla. Why am I Pater b'dinei Adam? Because I put some amoves that's not normal for an animal to eat. Avol perish davidi da'achla. But if I would have put perish in front of the animal and the perish would have killed the animal, b'dinei Adam nami mechai. It's mashma. The only reason why you're Pater b'dinei Adam is because you put food that is not normal for an animal to eat. So therefore, you're not mechuyev. But if you would have put out food that's the derech for the animal to eat, there's no such time that he shouldn't have eaten it. You put out food in front of an animal, the animal's going to eat it. According to your svara, Rav, why would he be chayiv? In other words, the brayso should have even said, and the behemoth died as pater b'dinei Adam. Why? Because according to you, Rav, so the kasha is on Rav from this brayso. This brayso says dafka sama moves. I don't have to take so much liability that the animal ate it. But for fruit, I would have had to have liability. But according to Rav, for eating a fruit, there's also no liability because the taina is your animal should not have eaten the pears. So Kamar Amri, that's not true. Hu adin daf afilu pears nami parta medinei adam. Really, even regular pears, not just some amovis, is parta medinei adam. So why did the brayso pick a case of some amovis? The brayso should have had a bigger chiddush. That even if you put food that's roy for the animal to eat, even that is going to be pater medinei adam. V'akamash malon dafilu samamovis nami the lo yavidi da'achla chayev b'dinei Shemayim. The chiddush of the brayso is on the chayev b'dinei Shemayim part. On the pater medinei adam, that's posh. Why would the animal eat it? But on the chayev b'dinei Shemayim, you would have thought that I'm not eating chayev b'dinei Shemayim because the animal doesn't have any shaychus eating this poison. Kamash malon that there's still a chayev b'dinei Shemayim. Who said samamovis is something? Who said samamovis is a vial of cyanide? Maybe samamovis is a vegetable that happens to be poisonous, which the animal would eat. Samamovis nami is bafrasta dainu peri. So that exactly it is pears. So the Bryce is actually saying exactly like Rav Shalocha. I'm pater b'dinei adam, even though I put out pears which damage the animal, because the person who put the pears out could say the animal should not have eaten it. But if it slipped, then avada you're chayiv because the animal could slip. You put pears out. Gewalt. Meishay fragt the Gemara kasha.
How do we say that the behemoth doesn't? A behemoth is a behemoth, it's not a person.
So you want to know how could you have a list with Feichel? I know there's a very sure story. Madich by a mensch came with this zugen. We came with this zugen by a behemoth. You put a guy in front of a kiddush and you put out lekech and brofen. What do you mean have a list with Feichel? It's regular. So this is Zaya Shver Suda. I don't understand the Suda. Wenn ich verstehe this Suda, wollte ich anders ausgesehen.
Literally.
Ja. Sagt mal Meisei. Ha'isha shenichtnesa litchain chiten etel balabais. Oh, this Gemara you're going to like. Not this Gemara, but Amar Aleph. Hopefully we'll be able to get there because it's one sugya. Ha'isha shenichtnesa litchain chiten etel balabais. A woman went, in those days nobody had a mill. You went to the central mill station and you went to Rabbi Miller and you paid your amount that you have to pay. It was like a laundromat. You put the money in. It's like a self-serve car wash, and then you ground your stuff. So a lady went into the premises of a toichen, of a grinder. It's a balabayis, but shaloi b'shus. Even though it's a store that people have it, you still have to ask rishus. She went in shaloi b'shus. So she put her payers down, she put her wheat down on the floor, waiting her turn, and she didn't have permission to be in there. And the alabais had a behemoth, and he ate up all of her wheat. Rachman al-Tzon, she has no food left. The halacha is potter. The balabais is potter, she came in with harishos. Im huska, what if the animal of the lady of the bala mill, what if the miller's animal got damaged from eating the wheat of the person? Chayeves, she will be chayiv to pay. because her wheat was there, shaloi b'shus, and the animal of the balachotzer ate it, so now she's chai.
That's a regular central mill. It's nicht logisches.
It's a case where she had to have rishus to go. The Achronim use it as a chiddush. You might think about it's a mill, it's assumed there's rishus. Kamash will not. They talk about it. So a laundromat, maybe it's automatic rishus. You know, what if it's the door? What if the laundromat is locked and it says don't come in without calling for an appointment? Right? What if it's by appointment only, and this guy comes and waits in the waiting room? Right? Why can't she say, why should I pay for damage that your animal sustained? Because it ate the wheat. Your animal shouldn't have eaten my wheat. I don't understand. You're asking me a kasha from a brisa. Is that not the same kasha you asked me for the Mishnah? And how do we explain the Mishnah? And what did Rav say in the Mishnah is, so maybe the damage that it's talking about here is not damage because the animal ate it. Maybe the animal slipped on the wheat and the animal got damaged that way. So why would you ask this kasha? Udakari law, makari law. Why did you ask the kasha? Why would you ask a kasha from something that Rav already explained away? So you would simply explain it away the same way Rav did, that the damage was not due to achila. Zok Gemara, because although by the Mishnah it's easier to explain away the damage with slipping, as Rav said, in this price it's not so mistaber to say that the damage were caused by slipping. Why? It says if the animal got damaged by the peiros, there you could say it means it means that it slipped on the pairs. So how I'm sorry. Therefore, achila hudakatani. Let's look and read the brisa, and you'll see how it makes sense. Yeah, no, it does not say. So let's no, it does not say v'achlas. So let's look at the brisa. Ha'isha shenichnas al litcha chitin etal balabais shaloi b'shus v'chalton behemtoi shal balabais potter, but imhuska chayeves. Imhuska is mashma. It's going back on the achila, right? It's not. If it's an imhuska behen, then it would be referring to a different type of achila. And so what Dovi is saying is 100% right. It just says v'achlason. So imhuska obviously means huska from the achila, right? If huska is from the achila, if it's an huska bahen would see you got damage from them. It could be referring to a different way. But if it just is huska without the bahen, it's much when we're continuing on the v'achlosa, and the damage came from the achlosa. Our Mishnah says huska bahen. No, our Mishnah does not say. No, it does say. Haniklas peiroisav, hiklas peiroisav, lachatza balabais shalom b'shus v'achalotzon, then this balabais potter, then huska bahen, balabais potter. So that bahen makes all the difference in the world, and that's why here the Gemara had a havamina to say that the damage came from the achila. Lamaisa, we're still explaining it away that the damage was caused by its slip. I don't know. Look, achila udekatan. And the other mandamar would ask the kasha because he says it doesn't make it, but yes, but not, but it doesn't matter. So we're discussing this halacha of can I tell the owner of the animal your animal shouldn't have eaten? Oh, very good. Tell him the hen. Tashma. If you brought your shor into the chatzar balabayis shaloi b'shus, the achal chitin. And your chatzar, your shor ate chitin of the balabais, the hisris umes, and it caused the animal to die. The word here says anpurda balaz. I'm not sure exactly what that sickness is, but it's a sickness that it happens to animals. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It got the diarrhea, so it caused the animal to die. This was umes potter. So the halacha is the balachotzer is potter. But if I had permission to bring my animal into your rishos, then balachotzer chayiv. Then the balachotzer is chayiv. Ve'amai havelei shaloi soichal. Why can't the balabais turn it around? The same way the intruder can say your animal shouldn't have eaten. Why can't the balachotzer say your animal shouldn't have eaten? Amar Rava Zaktrava, which is building on Mati Svara from earlier. Bershus asher loy bershus karamis. You're asking me a kasha from Bershus, where the owner accepts upon himself a special liability to protect everything in his chutzner, from the case of shaloy bershus, where the intruder is bringing something in. Bershus shmira shoyroi kibul alav b'afiluchana chazatzmai. If I allow your animal to come into my reshus, it means I'm accepting a level of shmira, even if the animal didn't get damaged from my stuff, even if the animal got damaged from something else. Whenever someone allows somebody into his property, it's built into that the owner of the property is accepting upon himself shemir of the animal. Okay, gewaltig. Zog the Gemara weiter. Iboilahu. Heika the kabel aleini terusa mahu. What if, and this is what Duvi asked, right? What if a person specifically was makabel shmir? So Rashi qualifies the shayla. Kegoyin l'Rabbanon stama, according to the Rabbanon stama, ula Rebbe the Amar Knoi Sharcha Vani Ashmeren. So in a case where a person is responsible, what level of responsibility does the owner of the chutzner have to protect the visitors into his property? The nafshehu the kabel alei, is he only being a kabel upon himself to protect anything that happens within his borders, within his boundaries? So it is a din, only whatever is in my chutzner, I'm going to protect. No matter what happens in my culture, I'm going to protect the animal from it. Or maybe I'm also being mekabel upon myself full shmir for your animal, regardless of if it occurs in my culture or not.
We assume that that's even if it's outside, right?
No, that would be a ruch that happened inside my culture. But the question is, while the animal's in my culture, I'm going to protect it. I'm going to watch it. What if it wanders out?
That's the other side. He allowed to disclaim completely.
He probably could. He probably could. Because all of these questions are what's assumed. Tashma, the Tanya of Yehuda bar Simon bin Nezakin the Vekarno. Sorry?
You say, the alma, doesn't mean if the animal goes out of its.
Well, let's look at the next case. Let's look at the Tashma. And we'll figure it out that way, and then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So Rabbi Yehuda bar Simon learned within Zakin the Karna. Did that mean when they were learning the Zakin in the house of Karna?
Yeah.
Okay.
Karna had beside him.
He had a university for Nezukin. Okay. Hichnis Peiroisa. Hichnis Peiroisa l'chatzar balabai shaloi b'shus. Uvashar mimakam acher v'achel. So it's not pshat. I put my pears into your rishus. Your animal didn't eat my pears. Some other shar also, the same way I trespassed, someone else's shar also trespassed, and they ate my pears. Potter, the halacha is, he's potter. We don't know yet who's potter. Is the owner of the para potter? Is the owner of the property potter? That we're going to see. But if this animal came in, but if my fruits had a right to be in the property, then chayiv. So, more man potter uman chayiv. Who are we talking about? That's potter, and who are we talking about? That's chayiv. Zok Gemara, lav potter balachotzer v'chayiv balachotzer. So you see that the balachotzer is chayiv even for an external damage. Zok Gemara amiloi potter balashar v'chayiv balashar. Gemara v'i balashar. If we're talking about the balashar, my bershus and my shaloi bershus ika. Why would it make a difference if the shar was there b'shus or not b'shus? Either way, the shar is attacking my animal. Amri zok Gemara b'shus havel ashein b'shus anizik. If the animal had b'shus to be there, we look at the fact that the animal has b'shus to be there. It's as if, I'm sorry, not the animal. If my payers had a right to be there, so then we look as if my payers are in the rishus habayla. Because if I have rishus to keep my payers in your property, lagabe the halach of shein, it's as if the payers are in my own property. So therefore, b'shus havel ashein b'shus anizik, b'shein b'shus anizik chayeves. Shaloi b'shus. If I had no right to put my payers in your property, havel ashein b'shus harabim. Then it's like I left my payers in b'shus harabim because I have no ownership or no right to keep my payers there. B'shein b'shus harabim p'tura. So let me just look at this Tosfos that might give us a little bit of clarity on this shayla. So we have a shayla. Oidilma afilu me alma nami. V'im time refreg Tosfos. The afilu nishperu baruch mitzuya, which is Moti's kasha, right? The afilu nishperu baruch mitzuya amar le'il the kabel. We're saying even some foreign thing that has nothing to do with my chutzner, even that the Bailam is accepting achrayis. V'yashloimer the maboya lay, you have a dichu ba'alma olay. First of all, could be the Gemara Shaila is that really serious or not? Could be that's the Shaila. I think this was exactly your kasha, right? Could be that's the Shaila. Maybe the Gemara didn't really mean it. The Gemara was just making a dichui. But Oye Shloimar, and this is what I was thinking of when I answered you. Nitirusa the Alma means going to behema shalacherim the lemasak adaite sheyichnesu bechaseroi the yichu ashoyer shalzami boy. Avada, anything that's in my property from my property, there avada I'm taking responsibility for. But do I take responsibility for something that I didn't count on that there's going to be another intruder? But look what he says. What if your ox that I did take responsibility for while it's in my chutzner wanders out of my chutzner, and oxen came from the outside on the street and stoiched your animal while it was outside on the street? That's not a shaila. The pshita de mekabel leileni terusa afilu me alma kiven shiyatza chutz lechutzer. That's not a shaila because it's pashit. I'm just reading the words of Tosfos. The pshita de mekabel leileni terusa to be mekabel upon himself shmira afilu me alma kiven shiyatza chutz lechutzer. So he's saying that what Tosfos is saying is it's more mistaber that I'm responsible for your shore. If your shore walks out of my chutzer, then I should be responsible for if some other shore comes into my chutz. I think that's what Tosfos is saying. I'm just reading the words together.
When you put, I'll tell you what,
So Moses is giving us a svara.
you put your shirt,
Automatically in Kabul Street.
You give permission, that means you're gonna keep your gates closed.
And I'm taking responsibility.
Responsibility. If somebody comes in, I have responsibility, and if the shirt goes out.
Yeah, but the Gemara is suggesting, Tosfos suggests it's pashut that I'm responsible if your shore leaves. But it's, the Gemara Shilas, would I be responsible if someone else shore came in? Okay, so that is the Shilas. So Tosfos clarifies exactly what the Shilas is. The Shilas of another animal came into my chutzner and damaged your chutzner and damaged it. Frek Tosfos a pashut the kasha. If your animal came in and damaged, why should the bala chutzner be chayiv? Frek Tosfos in terms of v'yelech v'yitzvel mi bala shar. Go to the bala shar and let him pay. Your shar shows my shar. Yishloimer kagoyin dahu shar habishal cheres shoy to v'kot. So do I have recourse to go after the owner of the chutzner at least? Inami zay yitva mi bala chutzner. My business is with you. I'm going to sue you. You're going to pay me. Ubala chutzner yitva mi bala shor, and you can go after this bala shor to get replenished. Okay, so Zok Gemara, it was speaking. It's not a shaila of whether or not the bala chutzner is chayiv. It's a question of the bala mazik is chayiv, and if the person had the pairs in the rishus of his friend Birshus, we look at it like chatzar and nizik. It's not chatzar and nizik, technically, but we look at it like chatzar and nizik. It's called ubir b'steyacher, Rashi says, and therefore the animal will be chayav for shein. But if I didn't have rishus, it's shein b'rishus rab. Toshma. If you bring your ox into someone else's property without rishus, and the shore came from somewhere else, the nakhoy and stoys to your store, potter, he's potter. Again, we'll see who's potter. So once again, man potter uman chay. La potter balachotzer v'chay balachotzer. So once again, you have a raya that b'shus the balachotzer is accepting responsibility even if an external animal comes in. So loy potter balashar v'chay balashar. Frank the Gemara, if that's what the discussion is, yachi my b'shus umay shaloi b'shus. What's the b'shus and shaloi b'shus? Zok Rashi, b'keren, when it's a question of keren, ein chilik ben chatzar and nizik l'shus arab, right? So iyam with b'shleima potter b'chayiv is on the balachotzer. Then there's an explanation. Hainu the shaloi b'shus potter the einol l'shaymer. But if it's talking about keren, there should be no difference if it was b'shus or not b'shus. Dr. Mar Ika Amri Ha Mani Rab Tarfani. There are those who say that this price is going according to Rab Tarfan. The Amar Meshuna Keren the Chatzara Nizik Nezik Shalom Mishalim. Rab Tarfan said that Keren pays Nezik Shalom b'shus HaNizik. So therefore, if it's b'shus, if my animal had a right to be in there, Havalei Keren b'Chatzara Nizik. Once again, we will consider it as Keren b'Chatzara Nizik because my animal had a right to be there, and therefore Umishalim Nezik Shalom. And therefore, the Shar HaMazik has to pay my Shar Nezik Shalom, even though it's a Tam. But Shaloi B'shus, but if I had no right to be there, Havala Keren B'shus Arabim, we both have the same right to be there. We both don't have B'shus to be there. Therefore, it's like Kerem Rabim, V'lei Mishalma El Chati Nezek. And when the Braisa says Chayiv and Potter, it means Chayiv b'Nezek Shalem or Potter b'Nezek Shalem. And that will be Pshat. Zok to Gemara. Oh, 661. So we'll stop here. It says the Gemara you're going to learn. Shkoich, have a wonderful, wonderful.
By the way, I spoke to the room store yesterday. Told me that probably is coming on Wednesday.
Play a live recording.